Hi. So I'm really glad to be here today and to start talking about what I hope is going to be a series of Facebook Lives, because I really want to be exploring how to live your most joyful and powerful life. It's a big passion of mine. It's a big passion of mine to bring consciousness around the fact that every single one of us can be living powerfully and joyfully. And so over the next few Facebook Lives, that's what I'm really going to be bringing attention to. So I'm excited and I look forward to your questions around it as well. Hi, Carol. Hi, Sylvie. And I see Ava as well. Hi, Ava. Lovely. I'll wait a couple of minutes just while we're getting people joining us. So I'm pouring my cup of tea here. Yeah, I think it's an amazing topic to be thinking of. Not just how do we function, not even just how do we thrive, but how do we really step into the fullness of our own life? I'm going to take as a premise that we came here with a particular soul need and a particular soul purpose. And one of our big roots through our life is finding our deep connection to that purpose. And so that's what I'm going to be concentrating on over these next series of Facebook Lives. Thanks, Ava. I'm glad that you like my new vision. Oh, good, Sylvie. You got your cup of tea as well. Yeah, well, let's change the world through drinking tea together. Actually, I'm sure that's been done many times. Hi, Petra and Adi. Mercedes, wonderful to see you here. Karuni, lovely to see you too. And Yashoda, great. So let's get started, because I want to give plenty of time for you to come forward with your questions as well. Because one of the things that I've observed looking at the human energy fields for, 45 years now, although probably only the last 30 with any sort of consciousness around it, is that our energy fields really house our consciousness. So when you're born, your energy field held a total template of health. And by health, I'm not just talking about your physical health, but your whole system balance, which means then that health includes your emotional, your thought or cognitional patterns, and your ability to weave all parts of yourself together. So your head, your heart, your soul. You could start with those three big places and needing to weave them together. So the flow of information, the energy exchange, the information exchange can continually move between those three. It's kind of like seeing a figure eight, but with an extra loop on the top of it. Yeah, and we have those a lot in our energy systems. So we've got three dantians, for example, three amazing energy powers. One in the lower abdomen, one in the chest, one in the head. So you can't connect three with a figure eight, yeah? You need to have, I don't know what it's called, I'm sure there's a name for it, but an energy pattern that encircles all three aspects. And when we're talking about living from the soul, living that joyful and powerful life, then all three of those aspects are going to be working together. Now, at times, of course, they can move sort of in conflict with each other, and that's beautiful, because that's the place that arises new understandings. And we experience that in our daily life, or multi-day life, month life, sometimes year life, with that place of dissatisfaction, that place of knowing that there's something else that we want to be doing with our lives, that place of kind of an internal tension. And from that place of internal tension, it's like those three aspects of our being, those three energy centers of consciousness are looking how to merge, looking how to find that seamless flow between them. So our energy bodies in all of their aspects holding our consciousness. And that consciousness gives us the ability to have choice. And when I talk about a powerful life, a joyful life, then it really all comes down to how you're experiencing choice. Choice in how you respond to something. Choice in how you perceive something. That's a real biggie. Yeah. I might look at something and feel, oh my goodness, that's so terrible, and my life is just not working as I want it to be. Someone else might perceive exactly the same situation that they're in and think, cool, this gives me a little chance to rest, or it gives me a chance to figure things out, or actually, that's really interesting. So perception is everything when it comes to our relationship with choice. But it's difficult to have choice if our energy fields are feeling squished. Okay, so we're going to take some steps here. If you're stressed, if you are experiencing places in your life where you feel real limitations, then that's going to show up in your energy fields, literally like they're being a bit squeezed. Yeah, we all know that feeling. We all know that situation where we feel under pressure. It's physically like we can't expand into the fullness of our own space. That's because we feel like that, because that's exactly what our energy fields are doing. Maybe someone else in your life, your work life, your personal life, maybe somebody else is kind of taking up more space. And that's nothing that's a fault with them. That's just how they are. But if it feels like that space is encroaching on your energy system, then that needs to be addressed. When we feel in that place of tension, of being squeezed, of being constricted or limited, it's very difficult to connect with the understanding that in every single situation we have choice. To have choice, we need space. And that's why working and understanding your energy fields, understanding that they hold consciousness, is so amazing. Because if I can have a quick consciousness check, have a quick look at the situation I'm in, and create space in my energy field, now suddenly I can think in it. I can analyze or play with creativity or curiosity about that situation, which means from that point on, I'm fully aware of my choices. And being aware of your choices is an incredibly empowering place to be. That's a choice to say, no, thank you. That's a choice to say, I'm removing myself from this situation. It's a choice to say, yes, even though it scares me. Yes. It's a choice to say, I'm not going to work with this fear today. I'm going to work with bravery, or I'm going to work with something else that you can call into being. So choice in a situation becomes very, very normal. And that's the key. When choice is normal, wow, we can experience the fullness of our life. All right, let me drink. Let me see if anyone is asking anything. Oh, Vicky, you've got some lemon balm tea. That's great. Hi, Diane and Ingrid, Anki, Celia, Denise, hi. Two Denises. Denise from Cheshire. Hi, Carla. Anna Joy, wonderful, wonderful, so great. All right, so no questions yet, so feel free to bring them on. And for those of you who might not have been here at the very start, I was saying that this topic really is an umbrella topic. I'm going to be working with quite a few Facebook Lives over the next while. And generally they're going to be every Tuesday at this time. So every other Tuesday, sorry, at this time. So it gives you an idea of when to tune in. But those topics are all going to be part of this bigger topic of living your most joyful and powerful life. Because I see a lot of people aren't. And there is choice in that. There really is. So how do we create space? How do we create space? I have done a couple of Facebook Lives now on grounding, and that's a start point. If you haven't picked up those, then I really advise that you start there, look at the Facebook Lives, or go to my website, pruneharris.com, and read some of the blogs, because groundedness allows movement in our energy system. Okay, so that's a primary place. If we aren't holding the potential to be energetically aligned, it means that when we talk about choice, we really don't have any. Our responses are going to be much more our programmed reactions. Yeah, let's take as a quick reminder that our energy fields are designed to be in balance, organized, working in cohesion with each other. Yeah. Any parts of your life in which that's not happening, and every single one of us has those parts of our life, yeah? Any part that doesn't feel like it's moving in flow and balance and cohesion, that's because in some way your energy fields have moved into a more dysfunctional pattern there. And it would have been a pattern that was created in its wisdom. It was a necessary pattern for the situation that you were in, but it's now stuck. So now whenever you're in that situation or presented with that potential choice, your system closes down and replays an old pattern, an old response, an old reaction. So at that point, if I say to you, hey, you've got choice, you're going to be saying to me, no, I don't. And you'd be totally right. You don't have choice because you're not working from a place of consciousness. It's your deep subconscious held by these energy patterns that is determining exactly what you're going to do, think, say, and feel. But we do have choice around that point. Getting grounded is the start point. Okay. I have to remember not to say 1,000 things. Hi, Ewan. So lovely to see you here. And Karen, brilliant. Hi, Steph. Thank you. Hilma, you're saying you requested a video on joy and power. So thank you for helping me create this. And Lucy, you're asking any tips for really seeing or feeling your choice clearly? Yeah, absolutely. And that's where we're heading to. Because in some ways, it can be thoroughly annoying when someone's telling you you've got choice and you don't feel like you have. And I completely get that. Because we're starting at the wrong point in that situation. We're saying, okay, don't feel a victim. You've got choice. Okay, that's a big statement. Because if your energy systems have aligned around a pattern that helps you feel like there's nothing I do that can change the situation. I've meditated, I've worked with Qigong, I've done EFT, I've done 100 things to help me maybe not binge eat or not feel like my boss is a bully, or we could name 1,000 situations there. If you've been working determinedly on something and it hasn't resolved it, then for me to say, hey, you've got a choice can be very patronizing. But let's back up to the place that actually you can determine, you can affect those energy patterns. There is nothing in your system that you can't change or evolve. And that's a really, really key understanding. There is nothing in your energy system, in your life, therefore, that you can't evolve. I'm not going to say it's going to be immediate or easy, but you have that power. And if you have that power, then you really have the responsibility to use it. So let's see. Groundedness is the start point. The second point is recognizing those patterns you'd like to change. Yeah, bringing consciousness into them. I think it's very powerful to understand what your energies are doing. So in places where choice shuts down on us and we begin to react rather than respond consciously, in those places, and if you're having a challenge thinking of one of those places, then think of your spouse, think of your children, think of your boss, think of your parents. Patterns of ways of being that you are with the most beloveds in your life, the ones that really give us those ability to move through our processes. They invite us time and time and time again to move through our processes, yeah? People that are that close to us, they act like mirrors. And just as we're continually showing them some things that they can evolve in themselves, they're continually showing us. So yeah, great gifts and great challenges. So in that situation where you know you have a habitual response, the first thing is really identify it, recognize it, and then decide that you want to work on it. Actively make a decision, make a choice in that instance that you commit to wanting to change that aspect about your energy patterns. Because in that place of decision, in that place of will and volition, there's a great deal of potential space. And remember, space creates choice. So even deciding and committing to changing that has very, very big effects, because what will happen is the next time you're in that situation and you react, no choice in that moment, you react, immediately you're going to be aware that you're reacting. And then you have a choice. Will not be an easy choice, but you will have a choice at that moment, because Lucy, you use this great word. Any tips for really seeing or feeling your choice clearly? Yeah. Because in that instance, if you have made the commitment to yourself to change an energy pattern that you know isn't serving you, then in the instant that you engage in that pattern, you're going to become aware of it. And that's a really powerful tool. If it's nothing that you've identified you want to change in your way of being, you're just going to keep doing it. But committing to it, and you don't necessarily have to commit to somebody else. You don't necessarily have to say to your spouse or your parent or your child, you know, when I usually yell at you in this situation, I commit to never doing that again. It doesn't have to be something that actually involves the other person, because this is something that involves you and your commitment to your soul. That's a very, very private commitment. So making that commitment, noticing when you fall back into that energy pattern, and then how do you work from that place? That's the next part in it. And there will be varying techniques that work for you in varying situations, yeah? So I can't list them all here, but as we go through these Facebook Lives, there's going to be a real catalogue of different techniques. Maybe you already have some and know some. But I would suggest in that instance, what we want to do is anything that brings space back into the system. And one of the easiest ways to bring space is breath. So in that instance that you have reacted, you're standing in front of your boss and you're thinking, oh my goodness, what she's just asked me to do is totally overwhelming. I can't manage that. And your immediate response would be, oh, I can never get on top of my work, or she's taken my power again. Whatever it is that we're talking about here. In that instance, if you can commit to one conscious breath, that's it. You can still be talking, you can still be listening in that time. But once you've identified that pattern, if you can commit to one conscious breath, breath changes our energy field. When we breathe in, it's a deeply yin process. Then there's a moment of pause as the system switches, and then we breathe out, which is a deeply yang process. So this system of yin and yang is our fundamental balance. We breathe all the time, hopefully. But when we breathe consciously, we create space in our whole body system. So that's the most simple, easy, non-noticeable, and profound exercise that you can do in consciousness in that instance. What will happen is as you take that one breath in, pause, and that one breath out, your energy system will begin to, I don't know what the word is. It kind of leaps out in little bits at a time. You know, if you've taken a breath, and sometimes it can be a bit juddery, and you're like, that's what your energy system does, even when it's not a juddery breath, yeah? When something has constricted and squeezed you, as you breathe in and release, the place in your energy field opens up again. And from that moment, Now you're on a roll of consciousness. Now your energy system is expanding and inviting awareness in, even as consciously you're inviting awareness in. And that's maybe when you say to your boss, in this instance, to carry on that analogy, I really don't feel I can do that within that time frame. And she says to you, okay, well, what is the time frame? And you quickly think and take another breath and you say 3 weeks' time. And she says, okay. Wow. The space in your system at that point becomes not just active space, but radiant space, because your consciousness and your energy systems recognize when a pattern has been questioned or broken. It wants to be in balance. So that's a very, very simple way and a simple exercise, because you're breathing anyway, to really bring in the space at that time. Okay, Carla, you've got a question. What about when radiant circuits are just not flowing, like an engine that isn't sparking? You're turning the key to get into joyous thoughts and nothing. Yeah, and we've all been there. We've definitely all been there. Essentially, Carla, one thing is to not try. Yeah. One thing is to nourish the depth of the system. Generally, when we're looking for joy and we can't access it, and many of you will have a lot of beautiful, beautiful tools for that. But when we can't access it, then trying to find it can actually lead to a more noticeable absence of joy. And I'm not saying more absence of joy, but you notice it more. And generally that's because at a deeper level in the energy system, in the body, in your whole being, there's something that isn't being nourished. So maybe turn your attention to that. And then there's also kind of what I called superficial fixes, which can work so amazingly. So the superficial fixes are watching a film that you always laugh at. Just get the joy moving. Watching a film that you're always laughing at, calling up that friend who half the time in your friendship you think he or she's totally daft and she's too silly to manage, but she makes or he makes you really, really laugh. That's the person to go and see, to activate and re-innovate. It's almost like you just need reconnecting into that deep source of joy. But it's generally, maybe always, because something else just isn't in a place of nourishment. So even if you take the superficial fixes, which can then run really deep, ask the question, if there's something that's preventing me really accessing my joy right now, what is it? What's in place of that joy? Is it sadness? Is it anger? Is it grief? Is it loneliness? Is it whatever it is, lack of creativity? And just work with that one. Okay, Karuni, you're asking, what about when the subconscious deliberately sets out to sabotage your forward movement, perhaps from fear? Then what? It seems to be quite powerful and quick to hide the motive. Yeah, absolutely. So you need to track the motive. And that itself can be difficult. But even just, Karuni, being aware of the words there, what about the subconscious deliberately sets out to sabotage your forward movement? Your subconscious is your forward movement. You can't divide those things. It'd be like me saying, what about when my left leg wants to walk that way and my right leg wants to walk that way? Yeah, there's no separation between you, what you think of as you, your conscious and your subconscious. So think about weaving them together rather than almost issuing blame. Oh, that's my subconscious sabotaging it again. Yeah, weaving them together at all points. So it'd be more like, wow, what's the wisdom in my subconscious that feels fear or feels unsafe? What's that about? So then you bring in compassion. Compassion brings space. Anytime we're in a place of separation, a them and us mentality, even inside our own bodies, and my goodness, we've all experienced that several million times probably. When we're in that place of separation, then the primary question for me is, how do we bring it back together? How can you think of your subconscious as your greatest gift? What are the lessons? What are the gifts inside that subconscious? So it's not the subconscious sabotaging, because that route is leading to separation, yeah? It's what's the subconscious trying to bring forward in its wisdom, and how can I work with that? How can I reassure and weave the conscious and the subconscious together? And if that feels a bit distant or abstract, and don't worry, that's definitely something we'll return to again and again and again over these Facebook Lives, because it is that place of embracing the wholeness of us. There's nothing that reassures the subconscious quicker than having a friend in the conscious. Yeah, think of those two aspects of yourself as really woven together. Your energy system is all woven together. There's no separation of awareness within it. It's just how we meet those levels of awareness. Some are much easier than others. All right. Oh, we've got people talking about my glasses. Thank you. Okay. Hi, Marilyn. How do we get triple warmer to calm down? So that would be our fight, flight, and freeze response in the body system. And absolutely, when that's up high, then our ability to access joy and feel in our sort of joyful, radiant power can be very, very complex. So I've said already, check with grounding, yeah? Grounding has to be the start place. It's almost going to be boring. I'm going to say grounding for everything. But without the groundedness, nothing else can hold. So when we're in fight, flight, freeze, naturally our energy system gets lifted right up. Yeah, we move into that kind of fiery expression within ourselves, which means we unground. Get the groundedness sorted out, get it established so it can hold a pattern. And at that point, triple warmer doesn't have to work so hard. The fight, flight, freeze can simply say, oh, okay, I feel kind of held. I feel kind of safe. And then that creates the joy or the space for joy that we've been talking about. Okay. Well, I'm looking at the time. We've got a couple of questions here. What I'm going to do is I will answer a couple of questions that I'm seeing here that are a bit big for us to go into now. I want to always honor the 30 minutes. I know everybody's very busy. So I'm going to answer these questions in my newsletter. So make sure that you're signed up to my newsletter. I tend to do that always the following Monday. So the Facebook Live on the Tuesday, the following Monday, I put out a newsletter. And if there are key questions that I really think will benefit everybody, then I'll answer one or two there. So let's do that. Fabulous. Oh, wow. It feels like a great whirlwind into this massive topic, but we're going to start tracking it now over these next sessions. We're going to start working with it. We're going to build it layer by layer by layer. So my objective is to really empower you to be that joyful and powerful soul life that you've come here to live. I think that every single one of us has that immense potential. And so often it's just simple tweaks in how we're perceiving life, in how our energy fields are actually misaligning rather than aligning. So that's what we're going to be working with. All right. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. All right. Bye-bye.